Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
I have to welcome Dennis Sobers to the Morning Barbados. Not the stage, but here to Morning Barbados. And a pretty interesting way that you view yourself because I asked you whether you wanted me to call you an artist, and you said no, you consider yourself an inventor, but we're here looking at all of your work. So tell me a little bit about how you classify your work.
Well, I can classify it as an experiment as to what is found in Barbados. My focus has always been to try to do something that we have. I remember the days gone by when it was the Prime Minister said we didn't have any natural resources. And I said, no, that's not true. So I started looking around and I saw there were stones. And these stones were so beautiful. And so I started drawing on the stones and giving these small pebbles basically to customers or to individuals to take back. So they literally took back a piece of the rock. And so I realized that there is potential in what we have in Barbados. So that is really where I have been using my time to use what we have in Barbados to let people know that we have resources that have great potential.
At what point in time did you recognize your own potential in terms of being able to draw on these stones, as you've put it?
Well, back in those days, it was A.S. Brydon's was shutting down their art department, and they had all these pens and things in which I realized that they had potential because it was the ink that was in it that had the ability to touch the stones. Once the ink touched the stones, it was never coming off. So it was about experimenting and finding. And then in order to design and to create imagery, it was the use of a scalpel. And that's where the word lapis scalpel came from, which is the Latin form for lapis, which means stone, and scalpel, which means to scratch. So everything you see when it comes to the art on stones is just a scratch in the right form, the right direction, the right shape to give the illusion of 3 dimension on a stone.
All right, well, let me put my papers down because I want to touch.
Yes.
So you started using different mediums to be able to put your works on or share. I mean, like this is what people would deem a traditional cuckoo stick. Not as big as I like my cuckoo sticks, but
yes. That is actually 2024 new project, in which is a transfer, a complete transfer now onto wood. So when it comes to what we have in Barbados, mahogany, the words can actually be transferred directly. That was one I did for a customer where it was for the Division of Culture, where they're now able to use natural cuckoo sticks and to have it, the word as well as the recipe onto the stone as well, onto the wood as well.
I absolutely absolutely love that. Of course, the trident is on here as well. Very, very interesting stuff. And then, you're transferring portraits onto other pieces of wood.
Correct.
Yes.
And that one was also, again, 2024, the ability to use what we have. Mind you, this is not Barbados wood. This is imported wood from one of the craft stores. But then to be able to see that transfer put on there permanently is one of the beautiful parts about having something we have. We don't have to import things if we can make them here on ourselves.
Is this a print, or
that
are you still using your pen to draw some of these pieces?
The pens are the stones as well as the concrete. The wood is actually a pure transfer, which is something very unusual because I'm using natural material that found in Barbados to make the art. On the other side of that is that's my granddaughter, and the other side is actually my daughter to show how it would actually work. So it has great potential.
Your daughter?
Yes.
And your granddaughter. Beautiful. Would make a beautiful gift.
Yes.
Love it. And great memento as well. Now, you're using all different types of materials because here we have some clay.
That's one I got from Hamilton Pottery, just to see if it was going to work. Last night I did that. Just last night for the show. And I wanted to see pure Barbados clay, also using the transfer method to put onto that. And this will never come off. It's permanently etched onto the stone because of everything you see here have natural porosity, meaning the ink sucks into it. And so in that situation, that's never going to come off as well.
Well, you truly are exploring ways that you can, put images and words and so on materials, because I believe this is a piece of leather. Black
belly sheep leather. And the mere fact that was actually started it. That actually started the concept of the transference. When I was able to do that, I realized that if now we have the ability to make keychains and leather, whatever products we have, we can actually transfer now images onto flat belly, sheep bladder. So that's another great concept that we can use in Barbados to start teaching and showing persons what we can use when it comes to crafts in Barbados export-wise.
All right, I want you to share more about the stones with us. Is this a special type of stone? It looks
Yes.
very, very shiny. It's not, a traditional rock stone as we would find in Barbados.
Yes. These stones are, when I thought it was not limestone, it is not coral stone, these are sedimentary rock. And because of the sedimentary nature of the stones, these basically compiles of dirt that actually is compressed, throws it into the ocean, and then smooth over many years. For example, this particular one is one full rock. This is how it's found. And then in order just a little bit of smoothing on it, then I actually draw. This is actually not the transfer. This is actually drawn on using the ink onto the stone. So this one over here, the first one, that's one of the most rarest ones ever because you see how thin it was, one full stone, and the ability to have that image scratch on there, is what makes those so special. And so of course with the scalpel is what gives you the illusion of what looks like here is just a scalpel scratching it in the right location, the right direction. And the image will never come off no matter what water you put on there, no rain, no sun, nothing can hurt the art. It will always be on there permanently, which gives it opportunity for persons who have headstones or mementos, or when it comes to marriage is supposed to be strong as a rock. So when you have a husband and wife on one, it gets them to see that this is permanent. It's supposed to be permanent.
And this is cement that's closest to you.
Yes. This
So
is cement.
how is it different working with the different mediums? So we talked about wood, we talked about leather, we talked about stones, and now cement. Talk about the differences in working with the various materials.
The cement is actually easier because during 2020 when COVID came down, I wasn't able to go on the beach to find the stones that I'm looking for. So I had to find a way. So the science behind the stone or the concrete is that this is not just normal concrete, not Bajan concrete or cement. This is actually a hydraulic concrete that enables me now to do the same art on stones, but now in a bigger form.
By
So
etching and then applying ink.
the ink goes on first and then it scratches off. For example, in this case, everybody loves this one. Everybody sees it. And the ink goes on first and then using the scalpel to scratch it off. The beautiful part about the art is that with paper, you mess up, you have to start again. With canvas, you mess up, you got to start again. But with stone, it's not a problem because if I mess up, I just
Scratch it off.
Just scratch it off and start back again,
Wow.
or just fill it back in again. So this is the beauty of the art on concrete. Again, it will last forever and it's not going anywhere.
And what type of paint or color are you using to make this beautiful art?
I don't use color. I don't use color on the stones because I have not yet found a pigment or ink that would actually embed itself to that. So I tend to use the natural colors of the stone itself. For example, if you notice this one over here, these are the minerals that are inside this are natural minerals that you can see. But to have someone's face on there, it's going to be very difficult. So you can see how the color changes.
Okay, let me take it up. Now it looks like a stone. Now you've wet it.
Correct. So
So where did you harvest these stones from? You talked about some on the beach, but this looks like something I would find maybe in the east of the island.
you would think so, but it's not. The east of the island have more clay in it, and so the clay on the east coast is not as dense as it is with these. These are stones that have been compounded against each other and rubbed against each other for hundreds of thousands of years. So I have to climb down a cliff to get the actual stones.
Okay.
Once I find those stones, I've got to climb back up, and then I slice them so I can now reduce the weight of the stone to give a customer now a lot lighter gift that they can take back to wherever it is. that
All
they're
right, now
going.
talking about using different materials, now we have some interesting pieces here, and I'm going to turn on the lights for these ones. Coral.
Actually, they're not.
It
Everybody
looks
thinks
like
that they're
coral.
coral.
What is it?
But sea fans and sea whips, they actually
Sea
grow.
fans and sea whip.
There's sea fans, sea whips, and sea rods. Those are the three areas we have here in Barbados. They're not coral, but they actually grow on the coral. So when we have bad weather or bad waves, like we had last week, a lot of it was ripped off of the actual reef and thrown onto the sand. When it throws up on the sand, what happens is it's gnarled together, and the sand compounds on top of it and twists it. and shapes. You don't ever see anything like this. So the concept with the sea whips and the sea rods is to be able to find a way to actually rehydrate it and put it back into the shape in which I want to put the shape into. So everything you see here, they're never found like this. My focus is to then change it and to put it back by means of that new process of using it. Now the images of the, not images, but the lights, it just gives you a little bit more of, makes it look good for persons. But my focus was to use these for a lot of restaurants where you have your little centerpieces, where you now have natural ocean art. But now the flowers are really petrea seeds. And many people don't realize it, that the petrea seeds are super strong. And those are land-based products. So the sea whips, if you can see here with the edges, it fits perfectly on them. So now you have what looks like a natural bouquet of flowers that it lasts forever and lasts long. And it's super, super light.
And you use some paint on these. It looks like acrylic. It's a little shiny.
Yes.
Yes?
This is more of a metallic paint, locally made. And not locally made, but locally bought and sourced. But that really gives it a nice look for whatever color an individual may want those pieces to be in.
Is there any material that you prefer to work with more than the other? Because it seems to me like you're going to continue exploring to see how else, which is why, you deem yourself
an experimenter.
And not necessarily simply an artist. So are there any materials that you prefer to work with more than others?
I love stone. I love the stone. Every stone is different. Every stone has a history behind it. I believe that God is the one who makes all of this. I just happen to be a brush in his hand, and he's the real artist. My focus is that my issue is just to use what is that he made. So I know he's looking for me now to say, so what happened is that when your friends told me that they invited me to the show, they said, I said, let me see if I can get one done for you.
Oh my goodness, no way.
So, does it look like you?
Oh my goodness. This is crazy.
So
Wow.
that's half of a stone, and the other half will be able to put something else on it. So,
wow.
Are you sad? Are you happy? Is it something that makes sense? Does it look good?
This is really overwhelming. Listen, you guys are always tricking me, boy. Look at this. You want me to put it close to my face, Peter? You want to try to match? Oh my goodness. Look at that. Like if I'm talking to the phone, he's giving me instructions. But wow. Thank you so much.
You are welcome, ma'am.
I am at a loss for words.
Yes. And
That's not a usual thing.
You're welcome.
Amazing.
It was a pleasure actually working on that. I took time away from my wife. I have to apologize to her to make sure it's done, especially for this show when I was called last week Thursday. So
wow.
Normally it doesn't take that. It takes a little bit longer to do that, but I figured that if I was going to come on, let me show what can be possible, and also to show the audience eventually what is also possible. But I'm only one person, and so all of this is too much for one person. But eventually we'll get it done.
This is amazing stuff. This is something that I will not soon forget.
Very good.
This is just wonderful stuff. Look at that. A portrait of me on a rock.
Now you own a piece of the rock. Most expensive real estate in Barbados.
Literally. I love it.
Thank
you. I really love that you are using different mediums. Usually where we see art and they're showing you working on it. So you...
Oh, yes.
Now I know exactly what picture they sent. That's the picture from my profile on WhatsApp that they sent to you. And this is just an amazing process. I love it. I love that you're using, different mediums to be able to create art in this way.
Yes.
Yeah?
And that's just
Truly
why
is unique.
young person or I don't like talking about young people because in many cases they given opportunities but they may not take it. But old persons also can do the same concept. I'm an old man now. But this is something that everybody should be able to use what we have to both decorate and also to own something of value that we don't think is value. This stuff falls in, nobody cares about this. NCC takes this after it washes up on the beach, puts it together and burns it. This is something that will never lose its value after we put additional value to it. And the
Wow.
same thing with the art and stones, the leather, everything is about using what we have and making something out of it.
This is truly some amazing stuff. And
you.
even looking at it now, some
Yes.
Barbadian landscapes, and it's a heavy rock.
Yes.
This is the Parliament building on here.
Yes.
This is some beautiful art. I think that people are just going to start commissioning work from you in a even greater way. Is that Rihanna?
That is actually, yeah, it's actually on the piece.
On the concrete.
I tried to
piece?
play around with it. Then you have also the what's his name now? Black Panther judge.
Yes, the guy from Black Panther as well.
Everybody likes
Chadwick
those.
Boseman,
Chadwick,
yes.
that's it. But I wanted persons to be able to see, by means of
at
showing
that.
famous persons, the ability to, that if you can see a famous person, that you would also be able to get your face eventually done onto wood or concrete. I said concrete, or actually stone, not wood.
How
not
long
wood.
have you been? How long have you been just creating?
I would say for the last 30 years or so. But more so 20 years when it comes to using natural products of Barbados. Because it was a challenge when I heard the minister at the time say that we don't have any natural resources. No, that's a self-challenge. I pushed against. I said, we have things in Barbados. We don't need to keep buying things. And I'm in shipping. I've been in shipping for the last 36 years. So I'm used to bringing things in. So my focus is to use what we got in Barbados.
All right, good stuff, Dennis. I want to thank you for coming in and sharing with us, and of course, showcasing what you use to be able to
Yes.
create, these beautiful pieces as well. It's just amazing work.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
I appreciate it. I
Thanks
appreciate
for
it very
coming
much.
in, and thanks for my gift. I'm overwhelmed, people. Very, very nice. I love it. All right, it's time for a break. Make sure you look into how you can get a piece of this in your office space, in your home, as a memento for a good friend or relative. Outside of the traditional art that we have hanging on the walls, it's great to be able to display art in a different way and from Barbadian hands as well.
And Barbados products, 100% Bajan. This is not made in Barbados. This is made of Barbados. That's the mantra I like to say.
I love that. Made of Barbados. Make sure you check them out.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.